We are getting into fall, and now is a great time to talk about rental pricing. We just got out of a great season. Summer is always a great time to rent properties along with spring. But watching this video in the fall will actually bring you more value because a slow season is what can ultimately kill your cash flow. Having too low of a rental price obviously burns your cash flow, and you actually attract the wrong type of tenants because the applications that you want to see come across your desk won't be arriving because your property will look too good to be true, and there has to be something wrong with it for it being priced that low. So just because you have a super low price doesn't mean you're gonna fill the unit fast with a well-qualified tenant. So don't be scared to ask for a respectable amount per month for rent on your property. Our team, we kind of consider it the Goldilocks Principle. Too low, you're gonna have a loss of cash flow. The property management and the landlord won't make enough for it to make sense. Too high, the property will sit on market for months. And honestly, most landlords expect us to rent a property in under 4 weeks. Otherwise, you're losing more than 8% of your cash flow a year. And that can be significant if you have that happen year after year after year, which also goes into the conversation of how do you even find tenants that want to renew leases? And so the ability to have the cards in your favor at all time and get high rent, well-qualified tenants that want to stay for years takes a high skill set and takes a lot of effort and work. But even now talking about, okay, Dan, great, you have a rental. Obviously, I'm not going to price it low or price it too high. We all agree with that. But when the numbers get put on the paper, what do I actually rent this property for? That is where we're going to jump in today and go over how someone that just started investing can take the basics and learn how to price their rental and how to go about it at a very detailed level like I do. That way we do not lose even a penny on the table monthly when it comes to the rental price. So one of my favorite things on Zillow, on the rental side of Zillow, is actually the ability to see how long a property has been for rent. So just like when you go to a property for sale and you can see, oh, it's been on market for 300 days or 200 days right now, you can check out how long that listing has sat and the amount of people that have reached out. So those are just, I wouldn't say cold leads, but they are leads that are interested in the property. A lot of times people hit and shop and press buttons when they don't mean to. So take it with a grain of salt. But if you're seeing a property listed on Zillow and it's getting, 20 to 50 contacts made in the first 10 to 15 days, that's market rate. And so we have to jump into the conversation of sales funnels. A lot of people on pricing rentals only will talk to you on a demand and supply level. But what I want to jump into today on this video is specifically the sales funnel, because that's your other major variable that you or your property manager has to focus on to be successful. You having a bad sales funnel to generate leads, qualify them, schedule showings, get them to apply, get them approved, and then getting them to sign a lease and make payment is actually the biggest factor of what you're going to be able to successfully rent your property for in under 4 weeks. Most people will talk on supply and demand, but that's only 50% of the equation. And when we talk on supply and demand, I quickly get into the conversation of sales funnels, because when you go to Zillow and you see those properties for rent, as if you're shopping right now as a tenant, and you see that they've had 50 contacts, that should equal at least 2 to 3 showings a week, because that 50 contacts will hopefully be 100 contacts on week 2, 150 on week 3, 200 on week 4, and so on. And if you have 3 showings a week, in the next 4 weeks, you will have had 12 showings. A third of them did not show up, a third of them applied and did not qualify, and then the other third is probably the pool of people that you actually want to lease your property to. So when you're talking on what do I ask for my rental and how do I price it, you have to first talk on what are the metrics we're gonna see as a success indicator or a non-successful indicator when we are in the process of listing the property. So week 1, if you do not get 3 showings, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to drop, but it certainly puts your eyes on a radar saying, hey, if week 2 doesn't pick up, we need to start looking at, did we list the property accurately? Are the photos the best photos we can have? You can use AI and put like virtual staging. We've done that with a lot of our A class. We're actually jumping into doing that with our C and B class because of how successful it's been. And a lot of our landlords are talking on wanting this in their asset class as well. We know that 3 showings a week is our minimum target. So if I'm priced where I'm getting only 1 showing a week, I know that I may be priced high and I might not be successful with my 4-week conversion of a lease signed and payment made. That does not automatically make me drop a price. Seasonally, things can be slower. Demand on a certain asset class, like A class right now, that are $2,500, $3,000 properties, There are not a lot of people in Knoxville that are well qualified for those units. However, there are still customers out there, and it may just take getting luckier than maybe a C-class that will get 3 showings a day, because a $1,200 2-bedroom, 1-bath, $1,300 2-bedroom, 1-bath, it goes faster because there's a bulk of the market that wants it. Luxury vehicles versus a standard vehicle. How many Nissans are sold in a day versus Mercedes? That's where sales funnels will actually keep you honest with supply and demand. If you have a bad sales funnel, the market will eat you up and have you believe that there is no demand out there for your property, and you will be lost with what to rent it for at what price. So to summarize what I just went over, 3 showings a week on your property says you're doing just fine. On average, we will sign a lease within 4 weeks of marketing or less by that statistic, and I hope that helps you. And I think it's honestly the most value in this video. But if you stick around, I will go over how I go about the data side instead of the sales funnel. I look at the supply and demand, and I look at what the market is saying as a professional market analysis. And you know, a lot of us will use the Rentometer website. It's a great resource. I will actually put that in the description. If you want to get a profile for yourself, you can. However, right now it's been really bullish and aggressive. I use it with a grain of salt. I like Zillow. I like seeing how many contacts have been made on a property and how long it's been listed, because I'll go find similar properties, similar square footage, similar finishing, so kitchen similar, bathroom similar, and then I will say, okay, bedroom, bathroom is the same size, square footage is the same size, the kitchen looks just as nice, maybe a little better, a little worse. And then I can find 3 or 4 of those in the area within. Honestly, you can span out quite a bit with rentals compared to buying and selling houses, just because people are not as picky as tenants as they are buyers. You're not making a 30-year decision, you're making maybe a 1 to 2 year decision, and then you as a landlord have the ability to try to convince and sell and close people on a longer 5, 10, 15-year stay at that property. So go out 5 miles from your property and just take a look at very, very similar assets. So the second best thing I'm gonna give you in this video is how to actually comp a rental. I want you to go on a Zillow and go to For Rent and look up the bed bath that's similar to your house. Then I want to have you stay within 100 square feet size of your property, smaller or larger. From there, find 4 to 5 data points. So that's 4 to 5 houses. Add up all of the rental prices together and divide that by the amount of data points you have or houses that you chose. So if it's 4 houses that you're running off of, divided by 4. I'm trying to find the average rental rate over those 4 data points. From there, I want you to divide it by the average square footage of those same houses. So those 4 to 5 data points that you chose to find the average rental rate, give me the average square footage. From there, I want you to take the average price and divide it by that square footage. So if it's $1,900 and on average they were 1,300 square feet, you would end up with $1.46 square foot. This is just an example. I'm not telling you $1.46 is the rental rate of any asset right now. Have you take that number and multiply it by the size of your house. One big trick that makes this super accurate, you need to make sure that the 4 to 5 data points that you chose had at least 40 contacts made in the first 30 days of that listing up. If it did not have that amount of volume, it was priced inaccurately, you will have a false rate that you are buying that investment property, or at least false hope on what you should expect for on your rental. So that equation saves me 1,000 times over, and it always allows me to give accurate predictions for my landlords that are always looking for me to give them the best number. But sometimes the best number isn't accurate, and it's important for me to stay accurate, so I keep a strong name in the community. I rent houses in under 4 weeks for the prices I say, and that is a major factor in how to choose the right property manager. So thanks for sticking along. Comment down below if you have questions. I'm gonna be very active in the comments to try to help. It's a very complicated subject, but I think between the supply and demand conversation and how to go on Zillow and comp, and your sales funnel, and having those key goals of, okay, I want to see 40 to 50 contacts in a month at least. We originally said we wanted to see about 20 to 25 reach outs. That can convert to hopefully 3 showings. The 3 showings per week is a major factor of knowing whether you're going to get this property rented in under 4 weeks or not. Your goal may be to rent it for a higher price. That's okay. Just don't expect it to be done in a speedy time of 2, 3, or 4 weeks if you're not getting those 3 showings. Sometimes there's some salesmanship at the property that has to be done to convert a low volume funnel, and those are typically the A-class assets. So your showing agent is super important on converting people into applying. all of these phases in a sales funnel affect the result of how quick a property gets rented and what price it will rent for. So again, stick around, comment down below if you have questions, or let's argue in the comments, get really angry on YouTube. That way we all get high blood pressure and, you know, rent's due, baby.